Hello, I am Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, a poet, scientist, and philosopher of human nature. Among my many reflections on life and society, one observation stands out for its timeless relevance. Nothing is more terrible than to see ignorance in action. When I first spoke these words, they were a warning against the dangers of uninformed decisions, thoughtless actions, and the havoc wrought by those who refuse to seek understanding. In my time, ignorance could lead to personal tragedy, social unrest, or misguided governance. But today, in a world driven by technology, instantaneous communication, and mass influence, ignorance in action has far graver consequences, reaching beyond individuals to shake entire societies. Let us explore how this quote applied then, and more urgently, how it applies now. How it applied then. In my era, ignorance often stemmed from a lack of education and access to knowledge. Superstitions guided decisions, misinformation spread through word of mouth, and the powerful exploited the uninformed to consolidate control. A ruler who ignored the counsel of the wise could plunge nations into war. Communities gripped by unfounded fears might scapegoat the innocent, as seen in witch hunts and pogroms. At the heart of these tragedies was a failure to seek knowledge, to ask questions, and to challenge assumptions. Even then, I recognized that ignorance, when paired with action, was far more destructive than ignorance alone. It was not merely passive, it was a force, often chaotic, that moved the world backward. How it applies. Now today, ignorance in action is not just a societal flaw, it is a systemic crisis. Technology and information have advanced in ways I could never have imagined. Yet ignorance persists, not because of a lack of knowledge, but because of its overwhelming abundance. We live in the information age, yet disinformation thrives. Ignorance in action now takes the form of misinformation and disinformation. Social media platforms amplify lies faster than truths. Conspiracy theories gain traction, drowning out facts. When ignorance drives decisions, whether in elections, health crises, or environmental policy, the consequences are devastating. Polarization and echo chambers algorithms reward outrage and bias, creating digital bubbles where people only hear what reinforces their existing beliefs. This breeds division, erodes empathy, and pits communities against one another. Unchecked power in the hands of the ignorant leaders who reject expertise or science wield influence over millions, making decisions that harm the environment, public health, and global stability. Ignorance in power is no longer a localized issue. It affects the entire planet. Indifference to truth. In this age, ignorance is not just a lack of knowledge, it is often a choice. People cling to comfortable falsehoods rather than face inconvenient truths, perpetuating cycles of harm. The consequences of ignorance in action. The dangers of ignorance today are far-reaching. Public health crises. The rejection of science and the spread of misinformation during events like the COVID-19 pandemic have cost countless lives. Decisions driven by ignorance undermine collective efforts to protect humanity. Environmental catastrophe, climate change denial, rooted in ignorance, delays action that could save ecosystems and human lives. The longer we ignore the truth, the closer we move toward irreversible damage. Threats to democracy. When voters are swayed by disinformation, democracy itself is at risk. Elections are no longer about informed choice, but about who can manipulate the narrative most effectively. Global instability. Ignorance in international relations leads to unnecessary conflicts, economic instability, and the erosion of alliances. A single uninformed decision can ignite chaos. What must be done? The antidote to ignorance is education. Not just formal education, but a societal commitment to truth, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. Here's what we must strive for. Foster media literacy. Equip people with the skills to discern fact from fiction. Teach them to question sources, analyze motives, and resist emotional manipulation. Promote critical thinking. Encourage individuals to challenge their own beliefs, seek diverse perspectives, and prioritize reason over emotion. Hold leaders accountable. Demand that those in power base decisions on evidence and expertise. Reject leaders who exploit ignorance for personal or political gain. rebuild trust in institutions, restore faith in science, journalism, and education by prioritizing transparency and integrity. A call to action. Ignorance in action is more than a personal failing. It is a societal danger. But it is not inevitable. By choosing knowledge over falsehood, understanding over prejudice, and action over apathy, we can counter its destructive force. Remember, the fight against ignorance begins with awareness. And the first step toward awareness is to question, to learn, and to seek truth, even when it is uncomfortable. For more insights into the forces shaping our world and how to resist the pull of disinformation, visit information-warfare.com. The battle for knowledge is the battle for our future. Join it.